Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. The Manga Man here. Today is Wednesday, solo leveling time, solo leveling chapter 150. I thought I'd get on top of this as soon as I could and avoid any further delays. So without further ado, let's get into this review. So the chapter was actually pretty straightforward. What I found in this chapter, I think it kind of flew by pretty quickly, and it did flesh out what is essentially a skirmish. But there's a few things that are made clear here. So I want to focus on those rather than going over the top and overreact and fake react about how hype every single panel is. Because you all know it's solo leveling, it's hype. We're not going to pretend like it's not. So we'll get past that. And let's just talk about the juicy bits, the content here. So we get confirmation through hook or through crook that the person that sat there is indeed a monarch, and he's the Ice Frost Monarch. I did comment that he did look like the monarch that appeared at Jeju Island with the Beast Monarch, and it indeed is that fellow. Now, that was the first thing, so that's a key piece of information we have there. The second piece of information, as I alluded to previously, is that some of the stronger S-class people, or possibly the doubled awakened people, are vessels to the rulers. Rulers and monarchs are opposing forces, I guess. I didn't know exactly how many of them there were, and it turns out, according to the Ice Frost Monarch, that there's 7 and they've killed 2 or destroyed 2. Now, what they've destroyed is effectively the vessels. Not the people themselves, the beings, the essence. And they're told that they can come back within a year or two. So there's a time limit when they can re-enter Earth. So that's important. And those 2 people were number 6 in the rankings, and it was essentially Christopher Reed. So it's safe to assume that everybody that's in the top 5 is basically a vessel for the rulers. Number 6 was 1. And this fellow is 1 as well, which counts 7. That being the case, at some point they're going to go after Thomas Andre, at some point they're going to go after Liu Zhigang, and the Siddharth Bachchan I believe is number 4 or number 5. So they're all going to get hunted down eventually. So that's the first thing. Next thing is the translation I want to touch on. And the translation had me kind of confused to like this. I was thinking, is this something different? And it's not. So there's a multiple translation for the same thing. So the ones I've seen in the chapter that I'll post a link to is fragment of luminosity. I've heard of fragment of flame and fragment of light. So 3 different translations ultimately mean the same thing. The fragment of light is essentially a borrowed power, a piece of power from the rulers, because the monarchs wouldn't be hunting them down if they won. The only exception to that rule is Sun Jin-Woo, the Shadow Monarch, and from what we understand, they betrayed him, or 2 betrayed him in the flashbacks, and one of them being the Demon King, Baron. So, that being the case, every one of them is going to be hunted. So that's the main thing. We've established there's 7 vessels, 2 have been taken care of, there's 5 left. 4 of them are still alive that are in the top 5, and the 5th one is Gunji-hoo, I think how you pronounce his name. Essentially the leader of the Hunters Association for South Korea. So let's cover the battle. So the battle starts off with confirmation that they're in a kind of a void space in a different dimension that essentially shuts off this battle from the rest of the world. And in this world, it's a battle between Frost and Light. And you can see him kind of irking the being inside to come out. And when it does come out, it's a fight. We also know that essentially they're at a disadvantage because they are borrowing the vessel's body, and so too much power coming out would damage the body, which would make sense with the whole thing with Sun Jin-Woo now, why he has to do 100 press-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, pull-ups, etc. and run so much, because he's building his body so that he can exert more power and thus level up. So I guess that's where essentially this is going. with Sun Jin-Woo as well. So at some point he's going to have all the power. I don't know if that's level 200, level 1000, but that cap's going to come off and the power is going to be increased. So the actual fight is really relatively straightforward. They kind of flex the muscles, and it gets to a point where essentially the old man's body can't hold up. He's starting to get attacked, and he does this kind of big move and says, "Oh yeah, I've got one more thing to show you," and throws this big blast at him, which the monarch he essentially dodges, which cracks the space-time continuum, which enables the world outside and this inner world to be connected. We see that he sees one of Sun Jin-Woo's shadows, and he follows after it to, I'm assuming, to kill it, subdue it, or take over it, to find out that his attack's been stopped with the hand of the Shadow Monarch, and before he can react, Sun Jin-Woo grabs him by the throat and says, "Who the hell are you?" "I self." And you can understand that realistically that's all he really knows. He doesn't really know them like a vessel would, because the inner essences can tell him what they're looking at, and that's part of what happens in this chapter. Sun Jin-Woo's a different kettle of fish here, so ultimately he doesn't know who he's looking at. He doesn't know he's a monarch, and ultimately this can either go one of two ways. Either he's going to underestimate him, that guy's going to damage him, or that guy's going to run away. But because he said the forces are ready, and because he said, this Ice Frost said that if you come back in the next couple of years, we'll have all taken down this world, means that something's going to happen very soon within the next year or two, and ultimately it's down to Sun Jin-Woo to take him down. Will he take him down? Will he get away? We're going to have to wait and see. So all killing and it's all hype in the solo leveling world. I'll see you next time. Thank you for getting this far. Peace.